Viral Disney merchandise, authentic affogatos, half-pound cookies, and a circus? Yeah, you can find all of that right here. Welcome to Disney Springs. So what exactly is Disney Springs? Well, it's Walt Disney World's dining, shopping, and entertainment district. Here you can find restaurants, both table service as well as quick grab and go. You can find a ton of shops that sell so many different things, and you can even catch some live entertainment. And you know, even though it's not considered one of the theme parks here, it's not a theme park at all, it's more like an open air shopping mall, it really is a great way to spend an entire day. There's so much to see and do here, especially if you want to grab a bite to eat. But we'll dig more into that here in a bit. I want to talk to you a little bit about logistics. How do you get here? What do you need to know? So first and foremost, if you want to visit Disney Springs and you happen to be staying at the Walt Disney World Resort, you can easily get here using Disney transportation. This could mean taking a Disney bus or a water taxi from one of the resorts that offer that as an option. I want to say it's Saratoga Springs, Old Key West, and Port Orleans, Riverside, and French Quarter. You can also walk here from Saratoga Springs or Old Key West. Saratoga Springs is super close, but Old Key West is quite the hike. It's a nice one though, especially if you want to get your steps in. Of course, if you're not staying on Disney property or you just want to utilize a different option, you can take a Lynx, which is a public transportation option here in this area. You can use a rideshare service, or if you happen to be driving yourself, you can park in one of Disney's free lots. Now, I will say, if you do want to drive yourself, it's important to realize that it can get a little bit crowded here at Disney Springs during certain times of the day or certain times of the year. My recommendation is always going to be try and get here early, much earlier than you might think, especially if you're trying to get here during dinner time. But you know, giving yourself plenty of time to get here is really just solid advice, no matter which route you choose to take, because it can take longer to get here than you might be expecting. I would suggest at least an hour, but maybe a little bit more if you're trying to get here during the dinner rush. But all right, now that you know how to get here, let's talk a little bit about what exactly Disney Springs has to offer. I can't start off this conversation as someone who's been coming to Walt Disney World since the 90s without mentioning that Disney Springs today isn't quite like what downtown Disney used to be back in the day. The vibe has shifted, so have the offerings, but that doesn't mean that it isn't worth checking out. Just know going in that, like so many other things in life, Disney Springs too has experienced a little bit of a glow up, if you will. Today, Disney Springs is probably best described as an open-air shopping mall. There are some familiar shops that you might be able to find back home, but also some unique offerings that you'll only find here, which, although I know doesn't really get too many people all that excited, I think is kind of a nice balance. You know, like, it's not so uniquely Disney that it feels like you're walking into some sort of roadside tourist trap, but it's also not exactly the type of thing that you can find back home. So that said, Disney Springs can kind of be broken down into three separate categories. We have the shopping, we have the food, and then we have the entertainment. Like I mentioned earlier, there's a nice spread of shops here at Disney Springs, both things that are familiar and also things that are uniquely Disney, but there are also some useful things here as well. We'll talk a little bit about them as we make our way around, but one of the things that I really like about Disney Springs is that since you have so many places that sell exclusively Disney Parks merchandise, you can sometimes find things that you weren't able to find when you were in the parks, or things that you might have wanted to pick up but just didn't, and now you're wondering if you can get them at all. Sometimes you can find it here at Disney Springs. That's not always the case, but it is a good place to check. But that's not the only Disney parks, or I should say Disney branded stuff that you'll find here at Disney Springs. Here you're also going to find some more of that like fashion forward stuff that you may have seen your favorite creators or influencers wearing, you know, that cute jacket or that little tennis skirt. There are a few places that have mostly that on the shelves. I'll point them out to you as we make our way around Disney Springs today. But like I said, that's not the only thing that you'll find here. There are also plenty of other shops around Disney Springs where you can find things that, you know, maybe might appeal to the person in your traveling party that isn't so much of a Disney fan that they need to fill their homes with it, you know? Or, you know, maybe you're just looking for something that's a little bit more unique. They also have some places that might appeal to those with a more expensive taste. We have jewelry shops here, everything from diamonds and watches to Disney-themed Pandora jewelry, and the list goes on. But like I mentioned, there are some places here that might have the necessities that you're looking for as well. Places where you can get practical replacements for your shoes if you run into a problem with that, or pick up a backpack without breaking the bank, you know, get a whole change of clothes even. Again, we'll point these things out as we make our way around Disney Springs today, but there's a lot more here than just touristy stuff. There's a lot more here than you might find at home as well. So again, a nice balance. Speaking of shops worth checking out, we can't not stop into this pin store located here at Disney Springs. If you're a pin collector, you definitely want to check this place out, because this is where you're going to be able to find some of the pins that you may be looking for. They've got a really good selection here of pins, accessories, and some other things as well. Check this out. It's like a MagSafe pop socket with Figment on it. Looks like we have a Hatbox Ghost as well, and a balloon. How much are these? $34.99. Of course, we have some other things here too, like magnets, and these are magnets as well. I have a little Eeyore one. They're little plushy magnets, very cute. The pins in here are also categorized, making them a little bit easier to find, but make sure that you're keeping an eye out for these keys here, because the pins aren't individually priced. So for example, this says yellow, that means it's going to be $17.99. Just across from the pin shop is one of those more trendy places that I was telling you about, where you can find, it's not like Disney park specific merch, but more like viral stuff that you might wear because you think it's cute. Trendy. It's right in the name. Trendy stuff, Trendy the shop. It's located in a building that's known as the Co-op, but it's definitely worth checking out. So let's go inside. I feel like this will give you a better idea of what I mean when I say like trendy stuff that you'll wear, not just here at the parks. Actually, you can see right there, cute little skirt, cute little shirt with the ears. So you get an idea, you know. Of course, you can also find Disney Parks merchandise in here as well. Got this really cute balloon t-shirt. Oh, what's this? Spirit jersey? A Magic Kingdom spirit jersey. It's actually a perfect example of what we were talking about earlier as well. You know, something that you might have wanted in the parks and didn't pick it up, you can get it here. Looks like we have an entire Figment section over here as well, and it's all in one place, so you can pull an entire outfit together. We've got the shirt, we've got the hoodie. This one is reversible. It's not actually a hoodie, it's just a sweatshirt. We've got the hat, if that's more your thing, the ears, and the backpack, and of course, these. Whatever those are. They also have some jewelry in here, some bags, Stony Clover, and look, we've got some classic Mickey Mouse Club stuff in here as well. But we're gonna move on from trendy into the Co-op, and I can show you a little bit more of what's available. At least right now, the merchandise does rotate out at this location, so make sure you're checking in whenever you're here, because you never know what you'll find. Sometimes there are also pop-ups that happen here in the Co-op. Oh, check this out. This is like a jersey, spirit jersey. Interesting. I haven't seen that before. $79.99 for that. But like I was saying, there's always a little something new in here. The merchandise rotates out, it moves around, and sometimes they have pop-ups, so this is a good place to stop in. I find that this is the spot where I find the most practical items, you know, like the stuff that I'll use outside of the parks, stuff that I can enjoy day to day, which is why it's one of the 3 must-check places every time I'm here at Disney Springs. We'll check out the other 2 here in a bit. Actually, you know, we're right next to World of Disney, which is number 2 on my list of places to check out, so let's do it. Now, chances are, if you're a fan of Disney fun facts, you may know that World of Disney is the biggest Disney store in the world. At one time, that was probably a more impressive fact than it is today, because the Disney store is really no more. But it still holds the title of biggest Disney store on the planet. And that's one of the reasons that people make this a must visit stop anytime they're here at Disney Springs. Sometimes people go out of their way to come to Disney Springs so that they can shop here at World of Disney, because it is not only massive, but they have a pretty good selection of Disney merchandise here. I will say it's important to note that some of the stuff you find here will also be the same stuff that you found elsewhere. Lots of repeat merchandise around Disney World in general. So it's not always what I would consider a necessity to hit every single shop. Unless you're looking for something in particular, then it can be worth your time, but it's not always a necessity. Now this spot does have a nice variety, so that's worth mentioning. You know, you can find things that are really ideal for just the parks, you know, quirky fun things like bubble wands and mouse ears, but you'll also find a lot of other things here as well. Lots of variety here in World of Disney. They also have housewares in here as well. Things like plates, dishes, decor, stuff like that. They got toys like this selection of Uno and Guess Who, Monopoly here as well. These are a great option, not only if you're a game family, but if you happen to find yourself here during a stormy time of year, grabbing something like this can be a great way to pass the time if you're stuck in because of a hurricane or some nasty thunderstorms. Lots of options to choose from as well. You can find some collectibles here too, including things like Disney pins, but the selection isn't half as good as it is at that pin hut that we checked out earlier. As you can see, it is much more limited, and it's really just these two like panels. There are a few little stands over here as well, but again, you might find something. You're not getting a good selection here at World of Disney though. Now, like I mentioned earlier, not every place here at Disney Springs is going to be selling exclusively Disney merchandise. There are plenty of other places to grab things. Yes, even though the 3 places on my must-see list or must-stop-in list all sell Disney Park stuff, that's not the only place that you should be keeping an eye out for if you happen to be here at Disney Springs. One of them is actually right behind me. I love this place. We're going to pop in. It's called Uniqlo. I've shopped here for years and the merch is great. The prices are affordable. I mean, who could argue with that? And it's definitely a place that you want to be aware of, especially if you find yourself needing to replace something while you're here. You know, like you need a change of clothes, your luggage didn't get here and you didn't pack enough in your carry-on, all that good stuff. Uniqlo is a clothing store. They have a wide selection for men, women, and children. Everything that you can think of. Most of it is what I would describe as basic. So if you're looking for something that you can piece with whatever it is that you already have in your wardrobe, this is the place to check out. Quality is fantastic. Like I said, I've been shopping here for years. Some of the stuff that I got over 10 years ago is still sitting in my closet. You've probably seen me wear it in a video. I mean, what else can I say? Also, not sponsored, none of that. It's just great stuff and the prices aren't too bad. But here's the thing, Uniqlo has a wide selection of kids clothing to check out, which is kind of hard to find here at Walt Disney World. Also, they do run sales. So, I mean, $10 for a fleece. Can't go wrong. Necessities are something you can pick up here as well. You know, all that stuff that you realize you need and now you're like, I have no idea where to get this. So things like socks, underwear, bras, belts, garments that have a built-in bra, if that's what you're looking for. The selection is pretty good here. So if you're needing something like that, this is a good place to check out. Seriously, most of what you see me wearing in the parks has come from here. These t-shirts, I'm wearing one right now, a long sleeve crop, came from here. Here's another one in a color that I really like, but I'm currently holding off on buying any clothes, so hopefully it'll be around next time I need a shirt. Also leggings and bike shorts I get from here. Quality, again, unbeatable. Price, not too bad, and they last, which I say with confidence because I put my stuff through the ringer. Also, the bags they sell here are really good as well. Now let's talk a little bit about food, which is a major draw here at Disney Springs. A lot of people come here to eat, you know, maybe do a little bit of shopping, but mostly to eat. And with over 60 options to choose from right here in Disney Springs alone, you have quite a few options. And not all of them are going to take up a ton of your time. They're not all table service options. There are some quick service options as well as some kiosks where you can grab something really quick. But if you are looking for something a little bit more unique, you can find that too, as you can with something that's a little bit more familiar. If you're kind of done tasting around the world over at Epcot and you just really want a burger and fries, you can find that here too. Now, I for one think that it's pretty awesome that you have such a wide variety of dining options here at Disney Springs. I really love that you can get something that's familiar. You can grab something from what is effectively a chain, for example, like Chicken Guy, but you can also get something that is unique to Florida. In fact, those half-pound cookies that I told you about over at Gideon's, that's a local business, as is Everglazed. And you know, I think that's pretty awesome. You're trying something new, trying something viral, but also shopping local in a major vacation destination. So it's a win all around. Now, another thing that I want to talk about just really briefly when it comes to grabbing a bite to eat here at Disney Springs is that while there are plenty of places to just walk up, order, and then get your food, there are some other places that you might want to know a little bit more about the location or do a little bit more planning than you would otherwise. So Gideon's Bakehouse, you know, the place with the half-pound cookies, everyone talks about them, great example of this. The cookies are great, the cake is phenomenal, the coffee, don't even get me started. And because of all that, usually there's a pretty hefty line. So if you want to enjoy some of what Gideon's has to offer, my recommendation is going to be get here early. I know the line can seem really intimidating, but honestly, it's not that big a deal, especially first thing in the morning. It just looks a little scary because it hasn't opened yet. Now, just to answer your question, because I'm sure there's at least one of you who are thinking about asking this, yeah, I do think that it's worth the wait. Some people disagree. Personally, I think that the cookies, but especially the coffee and the cake, definitely worth stopping in. But, you know, it's going to be up to your taste. You'll never know unless you try. You know, so there's that. But beyond that, something that we definitely need to talk about is making dining reservations. Now, here at Disney World, making a dining reservation is like second nature, right? It's something you definitely have to do, especially if you want to eat at one of the more popular places here at the Walt Disney World Resort, especially in the theme parks. Here at Disney Springs is really no exception. There are a few places where you can get away with a walk-up, but better safe than sorry. Go ahead and make your dining reservations so that you can eat at the places you really want to eat at. And like I said earlier, you have a ton of options here at Disney Springs to choose from. Also, Disney Springs is a great option for a sit-down meal, especially something that's a little bit more casual and leisurely. You know, you feel like you don't have to rush through it because you can dine here without a park ticket. So you're not wasting valuable park time just to grab a meal, which is great for me. I know it's great for some of you too, but you know, to each their own. Anyway, let's move on because now it's time to talk about entertainment. What exactly does Disney Springs have to offer in this category? You might be surprised to find out that it's probably more than you realize, but most of it is over in the west side. So that's where we're headed. Now, the west side here at Disney Springs isn't going to be the only place where you're going to find live entertainment during certain times of the year, the holidays, or during special events. For example, Flavors of Florida, you might find live entertainment. More often than not, it's roaming. But the more regular offerings, the bigger names, they're going to be over in the west side, which we're like right around the corner from now. But before we get there, we need to stop in to location number 3, Disney Style. I told you we were going to hit up all 3 shops, and this is number 3. So let's take a quick look and see what they have, because like I said, this is another one of those places where you're going to find some of the stuff that you might be looking for. Just like some of the other spots we checked out today, Disney Style is also going to have some repeat merchandise, but they're also going to have some stuff that you haven't been able to find elsewhere. So always check in, take a look, and then maybe you'll find something that you've had your eye on. We made it quick because it was stifling in there. The heat was definitely kicking, but now we're here at the west side, or close to the west side. I don't exactly know where the line is drawn, but we're by the food trucks, which is another great option for dining here in Disney Springs. I mean, who doesn't love a good food truck? I certainly do. And I mean, if you're here and there's no wait, why not? Especially if the weather is beautiful like it is today. But all right, here we are, definitely in the west side now, which is where you're gonna find all of the entertainment, not only live entertainment, but also some other activities for you and your family to do if you're looking for something fun during your Disney Springs day. I mean, from right here alone, in this kind of open space, not far from the M&M store, we have Splitsville, which is bowling. Who doesn't like to bowl? It's not open yet, but we also have a arcade type venue. It's called Level 99, that's coming soon, hopefully. House of Blues is right here, which is not only a place to grab a bite, but you can also see live shows here as well. And then right down the way is where we're gonna find Cirque du Soleil. See, I told you there was a circus here. It's even got its own tent. It's huge. Now, if you're interested in seeing the show put on by Cirque du Soleil here at Disney Springs, it is going to be an additional fee. You are going to have to buy tickets for that show, so make sure that you look into that ahead of your visit. There's also going to be a fee for the bowling, as you might imagine, and although it's not open yet and we don't have the details, Level 99 is going to come at an additional cost as well. Another thing that I think is worth mentioning while we're here is that you can also go check out a movie at the AMC located here at Disney Springs. This is a great option for a rainy day. You know, you just need somewhere to go. You can also grab food there as well because they do have the food that they'll bring right to you. So that's kind of nice. They have a bar in there too. So a little something for everybody, you know, no matter what you're looking for, no matter how much time you're trying to kill. And that brings me to my last point, the last thing that I want to chat with you about today. Is Disney Springs a place worth visiting? Like, why would you come here to begin with? Great question. Let's get into it. You know, earlier I had mentioned something about how Disney Springs is essentially Disney's version of an open-air shopping mall. And for a lot of people, maybe even you, that doesn't really feel like something worth doing. You know, like, why waste your time going here when you can do something similar at home? I totally get that. Though, I will admit, I hope that I gave you a little bit of a sense of what Disney Springs has to offer that you might not find at home, you know, give you a reason why you might want to consider Disney Springs. But I also understand that there are a lot of people out there for whom Disney Springs is definitely an extra. And I think that that's fair to say. I mean, Disney Springs can be a great place to spend a day, like I mentioned, especially if you're trying to kill some time. But outside of that, why even bother? Well, I have a few suggestions if you don't mind me tossing them out at you. Like I said earlier when we were talking about food, Disney Springs can be a great place to grab a bite to eat. You're still doing something interesting, unique, maybe even a little bit different, but you're also not using valuable park time in order to do it because you don't need a ticket to visit Disney Springs. You don't even have to pay to park. So that can make it a great option for your first day, your last day, or even that like middle of the road day, that in-between kind of chill day. If you don't have a park ticket, maybe you're switching over from Disney to Universal or Universal to Disney and you're looking for something to do on that day so that the kids aren't completely bored out of their minds, Disney Springs might be an option worth considering. Another thing Disney Springs is really good for is the shopping. Again, especially if you weren't able to find something when you were in the parks or you found it but didn't pick it up, Disney Springs might be a good place to check out. Again, you don't have to pay to get to Disney Springs. There's no ticket, there's no paid parking, so you can run in, grab that thing that you're looking for without breaking the bank on another day ticket to whatever park that you think you might be able to find that piece of merchandise, or even paying to park. You know, that's a huge plus in my book, so definitely worth checking out. It's also a great place to shop at places that you might not have access to at home. Like I said, there's a long list of shops available here that are unique and aren't Disney-centric, so that can be worth your time, especially if you like to shop, or maybe you have family or friends that you're shopping for because you want to say thank you for, you know, watching the dogs, doing all those things that they did for you while you were out having the most magical vacation ever. And finally, I'll be honest with you, this one is not something that people talk about all that often, but I think it is super important to keep in mind, If you have something that you need to pick up, there's a necessity that you forgot to pack or got lost somewhere in transit, Disney Springs could be a great option, especially if it's just one thing and you don't have this long list of stuff that would be better served by a place like Walmart. Now, I know there are some of you out there who are like, well, hold on a second, I'll just take an Uber to the closest Walmart, Target, whatever, and that'll save me some money. Maybe, but here's the thing that a lot of people forget about. The cost of that ride share, that gets tacked on to whatever it is that you needed to pick up, and sometimes that can mean all of your savings is lost, not to mention all the time it takes to get there and get back. Disney Springs has a lot of really useful options available to you right here. You can get here for free. It doesn't take too much time out of your day to make it over here. And then, even though the cost might be slightly more than if you went to a Walmart, Target, wherever, you're not wasting all the money on the transportation. This is especially important for those of you who need like just another outfit for your little one. Uniqlo would be a great option for that. Even World of Disney has some options that aren't too bad when you consider that $10, $20 outfit you get at Walmart also comes at the cost of the rideshare that was like 15 bucks both ways. Though I will admit, heading to a local Target, Walmart, whatever, can be a better option if you have a long list of things to pick up. Maybe you're gonna do a grocery run as well. So just keep all of that in mind. In summary, which now that I say it sounds like a terrible way to wrap up this discussion. I mean, is this an essay or a conversation? One way or another, I think you know where I'm coming from. I think that Disney Springs can be a great place to know about. It can be a great place to stop in and enhance your vacation, but I personally don't think it's a must-do. It's not one of those places that's gonna make or break your trip. Though, like I've said multiple times already today, it does have some unique and fun offerings to take advantage of that you won't necessarily find at home. So if you think that this is just a plug and play of your go-to shopping mall, it's not, but it's also not something that's gonna be as super unique as the theme parks. There goes the helicopter. Anyway, before I let you go, I just want to remind you that we've talked a little bit about something that you might be thinking about right now before. I mean, we are in the parking lot here at Disney Springs, and a lot of people like to use this hack when it comes to Disney Springs parking or theme park parking. You can avoid the parking fees by parking here. Is that a good plan? We talked about it and tested it, so go check that out if you're interested. But for now, I'm off. Thanks so much for hanging out with me, and I look forward to seeing you guys in the next one. Bye.